Hello, everyone, and welcome to Week 9 of the WNEP Sports Spotlight. Our look at the high school football from around the area, all of northeastern and central Pennsylvania. Hello once again. I am Sports Director Steve Lloyd. Joining us, Courtney Harrison and Eve Hernandez. The band is back together.
Yay.
And obviously we'll start with opening remarks, and we're going to kind of tie in some college football news with the departure, the firing of Penn State head coach James Franklin, athletic director Pat Kraft, making that announcement earlier this week. So Franklin is out, the national search is on, and interim head coach Terry Smith takes over, and it kind of affects one of our local kids here, Tavion Branch, Riverside, the offensive and defensive lineman. He has decommitted from the Nittany Lions, along with a host of other players. So Penn State right now looking for a new head coach, and all the Penn State fans, obviously, it affects them. It affects a lot of the media that cover Coach Franklin. We wish him the best as he moves forward. But after 11-plus seasons, and he gets 6 games into his 12th season on a 3-game losing streak, and he is out as the head coach of Penn State.
It was a wild 48 hours. You know, not only losing the game, you lose your quarterback, Drew Aller, James Franklin on Sunday. It's a tough time to be a Penn State fan at this point. But you know, you hope that at least Terry Smith can provide some stability. You know, he's been with Franklin this whole time since he came in 2014. So you kind of hope that at least that there's something there. But I can imagine it's probably a really tough locker room, tough time for all those kids.
Yeah, Courtney, they have the double overtime whiteout loss to Oregon. Then they go out to UCLA, a team that hadn't won a game all season. That came down to the final play. They lose that. Then they come back home, and the third loss in a row to Northwestern. Coach Franklin walking off the field to a sound of a lot of boos and fire Franklin there with his family. So a tough day for him, a tough day for all the Penn State fans, and right now looking for a coach.
Yes, and you kind of mentioned it too, how it affects some of the local kids here. Tavion Branch being someone from this area that it affects. He decommits from Penn State, and all the work that James Franklin and all the recruiting staff put in to get the 2026 commits, even the 2027 commits, they all kind of back out now, and they're like, no, James Franklin, I don't want to play for Penn State anymore. So this kind of affects them, in the coaching search, and then also in the future too, all those commits that they try to get all those recruits. And I got a young Ethan Grunkmeyer taking over at quarterback now, and he hasn't played a whole lot of football. They had a really experienced backup quarterback the last few years, and we see Bo Prabula, we see what he's doing in Missouri now. He's having a great season for them, but it's troubling times for Penn State right now.
Yeah, they move forward with Andy Kotelnicki. He will still be the offensive coordinator. Jim Knowles, who came over from Ohio State, he will still be the defensive coordinator, and without Tony Rojas now for the last couple games after going down with a season-ending injury, and now they lose their All-American starting quarterback, Drew Aller, to an ankle injury. He is done for the foreseeable future, and Penn State moves on. So that's our wrap from Penn State, and we will now start in District 2, and Courtney has a look at some of the big games coming up this Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start off with Delaware Valley at number 4, North Pocono. North Pocono, one of our undefeated teams, still hanging in there. They can win their first Lackawanna League Division Championships, the first one since 2009, if they beat DV on Friday. The Trojans are sitting atop the standings, and a win would give them a 2-game lead in the division, but they're going to try and do it without Joe Brisky. Mm-hmm. Brisky was injured last week. It's still uncertain if he'll be back. Likely not. But, I still think this North Pocono team is solid. They've got a lot of weapons to go to. Hopefully they can pull something off, but I'm sure Delaware Valley will have their number. Then we've got number 15, Pittston area at Wallenpaupack. Pittston is running on all cylinders. They are on a roll right now. They're pretty unstoppable with the weapons that they've got. They've got Lucas Apresto, Brody Spindler. They're unstoppable. I think Wallenpaupack's going to have a tough time with them. And then we've got Jersey Shore, number 6 Jersey Shore at Scranton Prep. This is the game that we were paying attention to last year. It was the biggest game of the week when they played this time last year, but what a difference a year can make. Scranton Prep does not look like the team they were last year. Jersey Shore's only 2 losses this year are to Shamokin and Hollidaysburg. So I have a feeling Jersey Shore's gonna do a number here, but you never know. Scranton Prep has pulled things out. They beat DV a couple weeks ago. So we'll see how things go. The biggest thing out of District 2 is the change to the number of teams going into playoffs this year. It was 8 last year. There were some changes based on the number of 3A teams. This is affecting AAA teams only. This is going to set up a scramble for those teams that are sitting on the bubble, that are the 4, 5, 6, 7 teams. That includes Hanover area. Hanover area actually plays the 4th-ranked team currently, Lake Lehman, this week. So that game has a little bit more importance this week.
Definitely.
Yeah, some juice going into that game. And then obviously, shout out to Tom Gravish and his athletic director out there for putting together a mammoth schedule. They have traveled all over the place to play football games. So, kudos to Coach Gravish, and that should be another great one. And that game up at Dunmore High School, Friday night kickoff at 7. So, Courtney, thanks for the report from District 2. And now Eve is going to have our report from District 4 and our WNEP Game of the Week.
Loyalsock at number 1, Shamokin. Shamokin 8-0 on the season. They're on their way to probably another undefeated season. They were undefeated last year, and you mentioned Jersey. They played that game with Jersey Shore. That Jersey Shore is really the only team that has given them, much of something to be mustered with over, the last 8 weeks. Loyalsock, though, they're 5-3 on the season. They've had, some really good games, some quality wins over teams like Bloomsburg is one of them. And then we saw, Loyalsock kind of stumble, the last couple of weeks with the Lancers, but they're going to give Shamokin everything that they got. This is a team that, last week, Jaleel Colts had 4 rushing touchdowns for the team, 205 yards on the day for Jaleel Colts.
Wow.
And then, Colts and then Danny Dowell, we talk about, some of the cast of characters here. They got a really good backfield with their with those guys running around there. But with Loyalsock, I think what's most impressive is their defense. Their defense have been holding teams to an average of 25 points per game over the all season, which is pretty good. With Shamokin, their defense is definitely going to need to stand up and make some good plays against that team, but that's our game of the week this week. And then we'll also talk about the Bloomsburg at number 12, Southern Columbia. Southern Columbia 7-1. Bloomsburg also 7-1 on the season. Southern Columbia wins the Pennsylvania Heartland Athletic Conference Division II title with their win last week over Montoursville. That was a good 10-point win for Southern Columbia, getting that one and then getting back to that title. Just to put that one title in perspective, the Tigers have 34 conference titles all time, just in any way that they played, 34 all time. So, they're not really stopping there. They don't want to stop there. Talking to this team multiple times over the seasons, what's going to stop them is the state championship. That's all that they want. That's all that they care about is getting back there again this season. But Bloomsburg is going to be, a tough win. That's going to be a team in their way. Blaze Kissinger was one of the players of the week last week, 2 touchdowns and an interception in their win over Montoursville. If Bloomsburg's defense can stand up against that Tigers offense, when you line up against the Tigers, you always know what they're going to do. You know what Coach Roth and the offense is going to do. They run the ball and they're going to run it at will. Bloomsburg knows that. Can they stop it? We'll see. So far this season, no one has really been able to. It's kind of the Tigers football. I think they're kind of back right now. They really like that. And then we'll also talk about another game in District 4. 2 teams we haven't talked about too much this season. Muncie at Athens. Athens is 7-1 on the season. They're having a sneaky good year. We haven't really talked about them that much. Muncie, of course, they were their single A championship, the single A state champion last year, But they, lost some players on their team. Talk about someone like Austin Johnson. He was on our dream team last year, but after they graduated some talent, they haven't had as much success this year, but they're still doing pretty well. Only 3 losses on the season. And then when they play an Athens area team, they had a good win last week, 56-21 over Wyalusing. So that one's going to be a showdown. It's going to be a good one. Muncie's had some impressive wins this season, so looking forward to seeing what those 2 teams can kind of do in District 4 also.
All right, Eve, thanks a lot. And once again, the Loyalsock Township at Shamokin, our number 1 team. That is the WNEP Game of the Week. Now on to District 11, and we're going to highlight 3 games. The first game we're going to talk about, number 2, Schuylkill Haven. They are also undefeated at 8-0. They are at 4-4 Nativity. And the head coach is Pat Mason. They are coming off a 34-zip loss to Minersville, while Schuylkill Haven beat Pine Grove 72-zip. Colton Reber, we've talked about him endlessly. He's having an outstanding season, filling in for Nico Caristia, who is out with an injury. Colton has 1,500 yards rushing already this season, 20 TDs. His teammate Nico Castillo has 10 touchdowns. And I just talked with Coach Farr. Nico Caristia is fighting to get back.
Okay.
He's working on, the rehab, and no note yet as to when the return might be. But Coach Farr says stay tuned, and we could see Karastia back there in the three-headed monster once again for the Hurricanes. Next game is Tri-Valley. They are 6-2, and they are at number 16 Minersville. The Miners also come in with a record of 6-2, and their two losses are to Schuylkill Haven and Williams Valley. Minersville coming off win over Nativity 34 zip, and Tri-Valley beating Mahanoy 42-7. So when you talk about players, you got to talk about Dante Carr, 4 TD passes, and then Peyton LaPointe had 134 yards receiving, outstanding track and field athlete for Tri-Valley. They had a 40-yard INT return for a touchdown from Trey Porter. So 2 teams, 6-2 there. Tri-Valley is second in single A, Nativity fourth, and in 2A, Haven is the number 1 team in District 11, Williams Valley second, and Minersville fighting to get up there. So with another win, they could move up from the 4th spot. On to the final game. It's 4-4 Blue Mountain at 3-5. Pottsville throw the records out the window. That'll pack in a lot of fans. The Tide coming off a win over Wilson, 35 zip, where running back Max Clues ran for 113 yards. Quarterback Andrew Allen had a great game passing. And then Blue Mountain coming off a loss to North Schuylkill, 42-21, where quarterback Cohen Kirby, 3 TD passes. He has 69 completions on the season, over 1,000 yards. And then running backs Smith and Foose. So that's the report from District 11. When we come back, we will look back at some of the games from Week 8 here on the WNEP Sports Spotlight. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the WNEP Sports Spotlight. We're now going to move into some of the headline games from Week 8, and we had a few of them. We're going to start with Southern Columbia. They clinched the PHAC Division II title with a 26-16 win over Montoursville, and Coach Roth, he's got them rolling along now. It's 7 wins in a row after the Week 1 loss to Wyomissing. So obviously a big game coming up against Coach Kohut in Bloomsburg, and the Tigers look for real now.
Yeah, I feel like we're back to talking about Southern Columbia and them having so much success again. Good for them. I know last year was probably a tough pill to swallow, but man, they're rolling and looking great, and we'll see if they can keep it going this week.
Yeah, Courtney, it seems like they've learned a lot since that Week 1 loss to Wyomissing, kind of where they're at and some inefficiencies, and they seem to have kind of corrected the ship, and they're heading in a good direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we talked about reading the highlights, went back and looked, and it's another Garcia back in there. I think
Grady.
I think Grady is the last one, if I recall.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see them got things all figured out and putting a hurt into teams this season.
And then the next game, Pittston area, they clinched the Wyoming Valley Conference Division I title, 49-13 win over Hazleton, and Lucas Lepresto. We've been talking about him. Courtney mentioned him. He becomes Pittston area's all-time reception leader and a rushing TD leader. Lepresto making it happen down in Yatesville there for the Patriots.
Yeah, Lepresto, we've been talking about him all season long. What a great game for him, and cool that we were able to capture those really cool moments for him also. We were able to show that last week, so that's really cool. But we've been talking about this team, kind of doing what they need to all season long. Their offense is extremely potent, extremely powerful. They can score basically at will, like you said earlier, Courtney. And this is the first time since 2002 that they've clinched their division titles. So it's been a long time coming for the Patriots. I know they're all very happy down over there at Pittston.
And I think he's got one more record that he's creeping in on. I think he needed 58 yards to be the all-time receiving yards, I think, if I remember correctly. I think he was within 58 before when I left there at halftime.
So he's got a chance.
I think this week will probably be the week he does it.
Yeah, Coach Russick probably has his name up on the board, and they're counting it down. So they're going to walkie-talkie down when he gets it on.
They were very excited last week. They were like, "You're going to stay. You got to stay." I'm like, maybe.
The next game we're moving on to Wilkes-Barre area and the Wolfpack. Their quarterback Jake Howe. We've mentioned him a lot here. He sets a new Wyoming Valley Conference record, most career TDs, 66 for him. The 49 zip win over Wyoming Valley West. The Battle of the Bridge, and congratulations to Jake there. They combined 3 schools, and now he's got the TD record for Coach Ciro Cinti.
He looked fantastic on Saturday. I popped down there for a little while. Wyoming Valley West is having a tough year, but a big win for them on senior day. When he puts the ball up, it's like clockwork. Like, he doesn't even have to think about it. He's got his receivers there to put him in play and get those great plays, those big touchdowns. So good for him, and he's not done. I think he's going to go well over that record.
Yeah, pretty nice that he's got a new stadium, the new turf there, new school.
Oh, yeah, very nice
He's
there.
setting records, so the shot of him is probably going to go up there in the concourse area as you walk into the school for Jake Howe.
I mean, what a great record for him to set, too. It's not even just the school record, it's the Wyoming Valley Conference career record. That's a big deal, that it's the league record. It's not just the school that we're talking about. And you talk about, the connection that he has with his receivers, Courtney, for him, being in his senior year, too. They've had the time to develop that, too. So I'm not surprised that we're able to see, what he's been able to put it all together, now in his senior year.
And then moving on to Berwick, we've talked about Mr. Wilkerson, Ty, 5 touchdowns, 23 carries, 393 yards, breaking the school record for rushing yards in a game, and they beat up on the Millionaires. That final score, 63-19. Ty Wilkerson, he's doing it down there in Dogland.
And he broke his own record, if I recall. Yeah, I think he even mentioned that last week or on Friday night. He broke his own record. He's incredible. Coach Curry said, I don't know why I didn't start him at running back at the beginning of last season. No big deal. He's doing it, and he's doing it well for the Bulldogs, and he's pretty unstoppable at this point. And I think that's a big weapon that opponents will have to try and shut down.
Yeah, pretty good when you're a running back, and you got a Curry coaching you, and you have an Orlando as your AD.
Oh, yeah.
So 2 guys that have a lot of football pedigree and know a little bit about what it takes to win games.
Oh, no doubt about it. Can't ask for, 2 people to look up to better than that. But Tymee Wilkerson, 393 yards in that game last week. I hope he had a nice long ice bath after that, was able to get some recovery in after a performance like that. Like you said, Courtney, breaking his own record. What a performance for Ty. He's had an amazing year. We've talked about him, week in and week out on this podcast because of the things that he's been doing. And him and Berwick are on an incredible run right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving on to Mid-Valley and their senior quarterback, Brett Yanoski. His dad's the head coach. He passes 1,000 yards for the second consecutive year. The lefty there, but a tough 35-zip loss to Scranton Prep. So Yanoski kind of having a good season. That's a hard pill to swallow, losing to the Cavaliers without scoring. But congratulations to him.
Yeah, I mean, they are having a tough year, but losing Jacob Lesher, I'm sure that was a big blow. But they've got to have something to be proud of, and I think this is one of those things. Like they're putting up numbers, they're just not getting those wins, and you hope the best for them, and maybe figure it out for next year.
And we move on to North Pocono. They stay undefeated. The 37-14 win over Scranton, but playing without Joe Brisky, like Courtney alluded to earlier, out with an injury. I know they've had some injuries to some of their other running backs. Coach Dolan will kind of plug and fill there, but we're hoping Joe can get healed up and get back for North Pocono. They got a big one coming up.
Yeah, I mean you've got Cole West, you've got Josiah Gray. There's lots of guys that are here to step in and fill that hole that Joe Brisky's leaving. Hopefully not for too long, but you want to be healthy. Obviously going into the playoffs here for North Pocono. Right. I think at this point of the season, let him heal, let him rest, let him get fixed up, and be able to make a return in the playoffs.
Most definitely. I was at that game on last week Friday and watching Josiah Gray step in. He did a fantastic job. You wouldn't really realize that they were missing Brisky. He did a great job filling in for him. He took the bulk of the snaps while I was there. And what I hear from Brisky, that is it's a leg injury. It's going to be, they're saying maybe about 4 weeks. So we were talking about North Pocono, like you said, a team going into the playoffs. You're hoping that he'll be able to return sometime this season, in the postseason probably. Maybe give him a break. He's probably need the time to recover for the end of the regular season here, but they're hoping they'll be able to get him back.
And they've got a tough couple games coming up here.
Oh, definitely.
So I mean, I'm sure they'll be missing him this week and next week as we finish out the regular season. But I have faith that the rest of the team will step up.
Yeah, tough when you see kids get injured. Also, like happened tonight, and not having Nick Bradley, with the hand injury, and hopefully he can get back soon. Now moving down to District 11, North Schuylkill Spartans playing an unbelievable tough schedule this season, but they have a pretty solid player there in Luke Miller, setting a school record of 383 rushing yards. I don't know how people keep track of all this stuff. It's up and down the field. 4 TDs to lead the Spartans past Blue Mountain, 42-21. So Luke Miller getting it done down there in Fountain Springs for the Spartans.
Yeah, I mean that was a big game. I know that was our Thursday game last week. I'm not surprised that North Schuylkill was able to do something. Blue Mountain's been pretty solid, but this is just another one of those school records. We could have gone down a rabbit hole of all the records that were set this past week.
There were so many.
There were a ton. After we planned this out, I went like, oh, there was another one. Oh, there's another one. I'm sure that won't be the end of them.
No, but yeah, a great game for North Schuylkill. That was a pretty dominating performance, honestly, over Blue Mountain, 42-21. And, we talk about, Luke Miller, he's everywhere for that team all the time, so I'm not surprised that he was able to get a school record last week and all of the other records that we're able to do. But the speed that North Schuylkill has is really a weapon for them and has been showing over some of these tough, stout teams that are really good at stopping the run.
Mm-hmm.
Then we move on to Minersville. They shut out Nativity 34-0. We already talked about Dante Carr. He had 4 touchdown passes, and J.J. Bowers with 2 INTs.
Yeah, big game, both sides of the ball for Minersville. They keep rolling. I thought Nativity might have a little more fight in this game. We had talked about it last week. I thought maybe, they'd at least be able to put up some points against. But, Minersville is really rolling. I think, they've shaken out all the little things and all the little issues they had maybe early on in the season, and now they're just, clicking.
Completely. I agree. Like you said, on both sides of the ball, great performance last week. And like you said, now we're in the 8th week of the season. I'm sure you're kind of, gelling at this point. Yet they know what to do at this point. They know where they're supposed to be. They know what plays they're supposed to run. It's kind of just a matter of getting it together and beating the guys they're supposed to be. And they did a really good job against Nativity.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously a lot of news down at Williams Valley when Coach Sadesi stepped down and resigned, but they kind of quiet that noise a little bit with a victory over Marion Catholic, a big 56-10 win. Quarterback Brady Schomper kind of taking care of business there and kind of winning one for his team.
Yeah, I think that was something that they really wanted. There was a lot of noise, a lot of stuff on social media. That's got to be a really hard thing to do, is to keep your team focused, focus on the game, focus on what you're here to do, and ignore all of that stuff. And they did it. Athletic director and assistant coach Ben Anchef stepping in, leading the team. I think they do what they do best. They run the ball. They were able to succeed despite all the nonsense going on. And, kudos to them. They can now shake it off, move on.
Yeah, and Ben, he kind of has a baseball background, and so before he came in to take over as the athletic director, he worked for Major League Baseball. He was in Secaucus, New Jersey, as part of the relay team, the replay team. I'm sorry. When you're watching the games and they cut to that place, he's in there, and I believe from what he told me, there would be. Obviously, a Major League umpire would be there 24/7, and then there were 3 other people. So he was one of the replay officials, and would look at whether a play was made or an out safe, whether it was at first or one of the other bases or a play at home. So with his baseball background, that was a pretty cool deal before he got down to Williams Valley. So obviously he's 1-0 now.
Yeah,
Ben
good
is.
for him.
And he's been on the team, like you said, for a while. He's been on the staff, and him stepping in as head coach. Not really surprised that Williams Valley was kind of able to pick up, running, because he knows, the system and everything that's been going down there too. Yeah,
and I'm sure they want to get as far as they can in the playoffs, and then obviously the big thing for him is finding a permanent coach. Something he's kind of juggling 2 hats there. Then we move on to Shamokin. Logan Steele. He received an offer from Columbia University, and the Indians got a big game with Loyalsock Township tonight. So Logan, he's got another year left. Great athlete there. Ivy League school, smart kid. That's pretty awesome for Logan and his family.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure this might be the first of many for Logan. He'll have his options open. But man, he's just killing it this year, and hopefully he continues again this week against Loyalsock.
What would Columbia University be getting in a Logan Steele? You've seen him play many times.
I've seen him play many times. First of all, to have the offer from an Ivy League school, that's incredible. I didn't know how the GPA was also that high, but it doesn't surprise me knowing what he can do on both sides of the ball. He does everything for this team on offense and on defense. I get surprised watching him play safety, and I'm like, just the physicality that he plays with. And I'm like, you're the quarterback. Like, you can't go all out like that, but he does, and he makes plays all the time. He's got 2 interceptions this season. He's got a pick 6 too. But just the speed that he has, the way he's able to move, the balance that he's able to keep, it's just incredible. He's also a really physical player for playing quarterback on this team.
And now on to the WNP Sports Spotlight Play of the Week. And here it is. It's Lucas Lepresto, the wild catch on his hip for the big first down in the Patriots win over Hazleton. He's had some crazy plays, and this is just another example of his athleticism and wanting to get to that football and making plays for Pittston, and as they roll along here and trying to win a district championship.
Yeah, this play came just a couple plays after he took the all-time reception leader. I think I want to say it was like 2 or 3 plays after, and it came right at me, and it was just like I was trying to get out of the way because they were right on the sidelines there. But man, it was wild. At first, I thought maybe he dropped the ball the way it looked, but it was on his hip and he was rolling it around. I was like, how did he even catch that? It was some of that stuff we see in the NFL. So and it did lead to a Lucas Lepresto touchdown. So and I think that was when he became the rushing touchdown leader. So he had a great first half of this week, and more to come from him.
Great play of the week. Like you said, it reminded me of one of those catches, like the helmet catch almost, when he was able to do it on his hip. That was really cool. You got a really great shot of it, too. And we're going over on the highlights on the sports final on Friday night. That was cool to see. That was like a jaw-dropping play. I was like, oh, he caught that? Yeah. I was like, can't believe that. And then it led to a record-breaking touchdown, record-setting touchdown for Lepresto. So definitely play of the week worthy also. Mm-hmm.
Always around the football. So congratulations to Lucas and Pittston for the Sports Spotlight Play of the Week. Well, we talked about the upcoming games for Week 9. We look back at Week 8. Now we're going to go all the way back to 1990 and the Hanover area football team. Joe Zone with a story. We will have that next from the WNEP Sports Spotlight. Comes right back. And welcome back to the WNEP Sports Spotlight. I'm Sports Director Steve Lloyd. Joining us each and every week, Courtney Harrison and Eve Hernandez. And we love these look back here, the file stories we dig up. And this one is back from 1990 when the Hawkeyes of Hanover area won the AA state title 20-19 over Canavan Catholic, an outstanding game. And Joe Zone was there, and he filed this report on the win for the Hawkeyes.
Canavan Catholic from out Pittsburgh way came out and did something no one else had done to Hanover this year. They scored the first touchdown of the game. Running back Al Kaufman, 12 yards, extra point good, 7-0. That's midway through the first. Hanover needed a fumbled punt return and a trick play to tie it. Dennis Monk takes a reverse down to the 1. 2 plays later, Kevin Goins scores the extra point, sends them in at halftime, tied 7-7. Third quarter, scoreless, but Canavan puts together a drive for the go-ahead score for the first play in the fourth quarter. That's quarterback Paul Bill, 8 yards to the corner, touchdown. The extra point try, bobbled, they try for 2, no good, 13-7 Canavan, 11 minutes left in the game. Hanover gets a chance after Canavan's third fumble. This Hanover drive kept alive on 3rd and 6. Jack Zelinka makes the catch on his knees. The drive continues. 3 minutes left in the game, 4th down and 2. Hanover season rests on this play. Watch Jamie Proctor, stopped at the 1. No, still going, touchdown. It's tied 13-13. But Hanover is penalized 15 yards, personal foul for unsportsmanlike conduct. The touchdown is good. The extra point try, 26 yards away, no good. It stays 13-13. Canavan runs the clock out, setting up the first ever overtime in high school state football in Pennsylvania. It is not sudden death. It's 4 plays from the 10 for each team. Hanover goes first, and on the second play, Proctor scores. Hanover kicks the extra point. It's 20-13. Now Canavan's turn. 4 plays to tie or win. The first 2 get nothing. On 3rd down, a desperation pass. It's batted up into the end zone and caught for a touchdown. Now, the gutsiest call I've ever seen. Rather than kick the extra point for the tie to send it to another overtime, Canavan tries a 2-point conversion for the win. They tried left. They're stopped. The ball game is over. Hanover wins 20-19. Coach, after 48 hard minutes, did you have any idea what the heck you were going to do in overtime?
Well, we knew about the overtime procedure. We didn't have any plays planned or anything. We just went in there and said we're going to give it our best shot, 3 downs. If we don't get it, we were going to kick a field goal, try to get some points on the board. Our kids sucked it up when they had to. Jamie Proctor ran it in hard, and it was outstanding.
The first ever overtime football game in state playoff history. A perfect ending for Hanover area's perfect season. This is Joe Zone, Newswatch 16 Sports in Middletown.
All right, thanks, Joe, and obviously congratulations down there to Hanover area. And they have a big game coming up this week against Lake Lehman and their head coach, Eric Richardson. I know he wants to win to qualify and get into the district playoffs.
It's nice talking about Hanover area. I feel like it's been quite some time that they've really been able to put together a solid season, and now a chance at the playoffs in Coach Richardson's first year as head coach. So they need to beat Lake Lehman this week. It's the most important game of the season now for them than ever. And we'll see if they can pull something off. It'd be great to see them in the playoffs.
Yeah, out on the black turf. I'm sure it's going to be a little chilly out there. I didn't get the full forecast yet, but we've had some rain in the forecast, and out on that black turf, that'll be a challenge for the Hawkeyes when they take on Lake Lehman.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And we kind of talked about the differences with the playoffs now in District 2 and how even more important this game is going to be because of the teams are less now. There's only 4 teams that are going to make the playoffs. Hanover area has had, a sneaky good season. Like we've said, they had some close games, but they've been able to pull them out at the end and win them all. So being able to, have that, be able to win factor to get over some of those tough, they've been behind some of their games, but able to come back and be able to, get the victories in them. That's really good for them. A good skill for them to be able to have, especially as we get into just couple of games left in the season here. They're going to need to rattle off these wins.
All right. Thanks, Courtney and Eve. And we will certainly have the score of that game and hopefully some highlights Friday night, Hanover area at Lake Lehman. So each and every week, we always have the sports finale. It's put together by our video editor, James Pennington, and we had a lot of great games last week. Let's take a look at the sports finale from Week 8. All right. Thanks, James, for putting that together. And obviously, thank you to all of the fans out there for hopping in front of the camera and all of our photographers heading out to the games and gathering all that fun video. I know we do enjoy that, and hopefully you guys enjoy the sports finale put together by James Pennington each and every week. So as we finish up this block, we just want to say our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody up at Mid-Valley, the entire Mid-Valley School District, and certainly to the family of Eddie Kaufman, who passed away last week from his battle with leukemia. If you don't know it, Eddie was an outstanding golfer. He won the Bob Simons Classic in 2022 up there at Elk View. And Eddie was also an outstanding baseball player. I got a chance to see him play baseball. I was there for when he won the Bob Simons. So thoughts and prayers. Very sad time for the Kaufman family losing their son. And I know the Mid-Valley School District certainly did a lot of benefits for him in a district to help the family out with some of the medical coverage and just for the healing process and the prayers and stuff. So just want to send out our prayers and very sorry for the loss of Eddie.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough one, and I know that that entire community is feeling it up there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You ever get a chance to meet Eddie?
I never got a chance to meet him, no. But definitely my deepest condolences go out to the Kaufman family and everyone in the Mid-Valley School District. Definitely an awful story to hear.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Sports Spotlight Podcast. This is the block where we do our Super 16 countdown. We actually have no changes in the countdown this week because all of our Super 16 teams won last week. But I will quickly run through it again. I'm sure you guys can see it on your screens. No changes. Our number 1 team, Shamokin. Number 2, Schuylkill Haven. Then Line Mountain, North Pocono, and Berwick rounds out our top 5. Jersey Shore at 6, followed by Troy, Williams Valley, Wyoming area, Lakeland at 10. And then at 11, we have Lackawanna Trail, Southern Columbia, Mifflinburg, Riverside at 14, Pittston area at 15, and Minersville stays at 16. Like we said, this is the point of the season where maybe not too much changes go on in the countdown. All of the teams were able to win last week. You and I are very happy about that, Courtney, that we didn't have to mess with it at all this week because everyone was successful. But what are you guys' thoughts about, where all the teams are at with 2 weeks left in the regular season?
Yeah, I think right now, Eve, so if you look at Schuylkill Haven, they're trying to get Caristia back, but they have kind of, held the course with a major injury there. Line Mountain has a lot of outstanding talent. I believe, Courtney, you were out there for a Super 16 preview,
Yep,
and we've had them in the highlights. North Pocono's going through a little injury bug now. Berwick has just kind of turned the corner with Ty there and the rest of the team, and then Troy had one little hiccup. Williams Valley kind of had a hiccup. So a lot of these teams have played some solid football, and maybe the surprise in there is this Pittston area team, first-year head coach Paul Russick. So not really sure where they're going to go, and then obviously Minersville with Dante certainly has a shot at 6-2 to win a district championship, and you never know in 2A. I know it's loaded across the state, but 2A is going to be interesting as the district playoffs and the state playoffs roll on.
Yeah, I think there's a chance that we could have a shakeup again in our Super 16 after this week. There are a lot of tough games out there. The question is, will we still have 5 undefeated teams after this week? Anything can happen. On paper, all of these teams, should be able to pull off a win.
Right.
But you never know.
Yeah, don't count out 4-4 Delaware Valley.
You cannot.
Penn State grad
not
Keith Olsemer and that coaching staff, they will certainly have a game plan knowing that North Pocono doesn't have one of their better running backs. So,
and same with Shamokin, too.
Yeah, Coach Dolan will probably get a feel of what Keith wants to do there in that first quarter and then maybe adjust. But he'll have the home crowd out there. And the band and their support, that should be an outstanding game. And then I believe Old Forge is at Riverside.
Okay.
Coach Schuback and Coach Armstrong. And I believe Harry is 1 win away from 100.
Yes,
wow.
He's sitting at 99 now. So
99 for
he's
Coach
going to want that
Armstrong.
win, but I'm sure that Coach Schuback wants to get another win under that Blue Devils program.
I haven't texted AD Dan Digwood, but maybe he's got the cake in the refrigerator. Maybe when the game's over. I don't know.
on it.
I don't know if Coach Armstrong would want a cake with a 1, a 0, and 0 on there and blow it up. Maybe balloons. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure he wants the win. I don't know how much of a celebration because there's still season left.
Maybe
maybe at the end of the season.
If they're up big at half, they're up big at half, they could call for the cake.
We'll run it.
bakery
We'll
make
run
it.
it down. We'll run it down at halftime.
Yeah, so that should be a pretty big game.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, Troy is now 7-1, the defending AA state champions. Coach Smith keeping it going there. So that's a look at our Super 16 for Week 9. When we come back, we will have the picks for the Week 9 games. All 3 of us picking as we go along here through high school football season. That and more when we come back with the WNBA Sports. All right, welcome back to the Spotlight. Now on to our picks. I is 29-13. I went 5-1 last week, so now 34-14 after 8 weeks. Here are my picks for Week 9. Shamokin over Loyalsock, Southern Columbia over Bloomsburg. I like Jersey Shore over Scranton Prep, Pittston over Wallen-Paulpack, Minersville and Dante Carr over Tri-Valley, and Pottsville, Coach Brennan picking up a win over Coach Kutz over Blue Mountain. So those are my picks for Week 9.
And I was 32-10 going into Week 8. I went 5-1 last week, and now I'm 37-11 after 8 weeks. I'm also picking Shamokin over Loyalsock, Jersey Shore over Prep, North Pocono. I think they'll hang on and get a win over Delaware Valley. I've got Athens over Muncie. That's a game I'm looking forward to. And then I have Pottsville over Blue Mountain and South Williamsport over Montgomery. Again, two pretty sneaky good teams out there in District 4.
Okay.
The Mounties.
The Mounties.
And Pottsville over Blue Mountain. Ooh.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. Like you said, throughout the records when it comes to that matchup right there.
Absolutely.
But for my games this week, I was 35-7 coming in. I went 5-1 last week, and so now I am in first place with a record of 40-8 through 8 weeks. I can't believe it. I like your guys' picks this week. Mine are pretty similar. I have Shamokin over Loyalsock. I also like Jersey Shore over Scranton Prep, and I'm also picking North Pocono over Delaware Valley, Athens over Muncie, Minersville over Tri-Valley, and I'm taking Blue Mountain over Pottsville. But we'll see which side of the coin we get for that one this week.
Absolutely.
All right, good picks, and we're going to wrap this show up for week 9 with our final thoughts, and we'll start with Eve.
Yeah, I mean, last week we had, we talked about all the record breaking. There was a lot of, sports news going on last week. Week 8 was kind of just chaotic everywhere around. And even, in some of these games too, a lot of them were pretty chaotic. But congratulations to everyone who set, some school records, claiming the, division titles now. We're at the end of the season now, 2 weeks left in the regular season. It's kind of all just playoffs from here on out is, what the main focus is kind of going to be.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams will be able to lock it in this week. And, wins are crucial now this week. We got some great matchups. I'm looking forward to seeing what shakes out this week.
My final thoughts, just want to thank all the PIAA officials out there. Yes. I think it was officials week last week for not only running the chains, but out there in the middle of the action. I know some of the refs have kind of gotten bumped up in some of the plays, but they're out there doing their best and trying to make all these games as competitive as possible and just doing an outstanding job. So a shout out to all the PIAA officials, whether it's male or female, whoever's out there working the games, we do appreciate that. So get out there, support the athletes and your school districts, get some food at the concession stand, support the booster clubs, cheer on the band, and have a great night at the high school football games, whether it's Thursday night, Friday, or Saturday afternoon, or Saturday evening. We will be back here next week, and we will break it all down. So for Courtney Harrison, Eve Hernandez, I'm Steve Lloyd. Once again, thanks for joining us here on the WNEP Sports Spotlight. Make it a great night.